Welcome to the Holistic High Achiever podcast. I'm your host, Kaitlin Rohowetz. This podcast is all about thriving in the modern world without sacrificing your health. It's for all of my fellow high achievers, business owners, mompreneurs, single parents, hustlers, the people who do so much for everyone else and sometimes at a detriment to their own health. The people who want to do it all but need to find a better way without burning themselves out or continuing to put their own health on the back burner. Yes, we'll talk about health, nutrition, movement, and easy solutions to living healthier, but we'll also cover topics like goal setting, building habits, and overcoming challenges and limiting beliefs, which can be applied to any area, including health, so that you can thrive holistically. Hello, fellow high achievers. In today's podcast, I'm going to share my story and how this podcast came to be, which will hopefully set the framework for the types of things to expect in future episodes. I have definitely shared bits of my story before, but never so openly on such a broad platform, and some of my story is still somewhat emotional for me, but I'm choosing to share it now because I want to be vulnerable in hopes that anyone going through something similar can get some validation, hope, or support, or even resources they need. And I'll spoil the ending a little bit by saying that I'm by far the most empowered version of myself that I've ever been. As a parent, a successful business owner managing over 20 staff, a wife, a friend, and well on my way to being in the best shape of my life, both physically and mentally. And I don't say that to impress anyone. I say that because I truly believe with 100% of my entire being that that's absolutely possible for you, no matter how far off track that you feel. So I have struggled with weight my entire life. I have always been stressed out about losing weight. And I grew up in like a less than healthy and very low income family, like in the 90s when ramen noodles and hamburger helper were just like a normal part of our diet. And also purple colored ketchup was a thing, if anyone remembers that. I was overweight as a kid, and I remember going on a diet at 8 years old, which is crazy. My siblings even gave me the nickname the heavyweight. So from a very young age, I had pretty low self-esteem, and I was already worried about being overweight at 8 years old. So this, of course, continued through my entire childhood, teenage years, and then even into early adulthood. I would definitely say I was a chronic dieter because losing weight was the only thing I really thought about. My focus also was never on health. It was always tied to weight. I would say it definitely was an obsession. I would coax my friends into working out with me. That was our idea of hanging out. Come over and do P90X or Taebo in the living room with me. I counted calories. I tried eating quote unquote healthy foods like lean cuisine. I spent hundreds of dollars on gym memberships and protein shakes and whatever pill would make me skinny. I just wanted to be skinny. And don't get me wrong, I would lose weight and have a little success here and there when I was trying really, really hard, but it never stuck. I'd always gain the weight back. And then this just happened over and over and over and over. Something would always happen, or it would be whatever I was doing would be too hard to maintain. And I'd just say, well, screw it, and go back to my old ways. And my old ways were just sitting on the couch, eating ice cream and drinking wine and hating myself because I didn't look like the girls in the movies. And I'd always get to this point where I would refuse to go out with friends because you go to get ready and you try on like everything in your closet and nothing fits. I would feel like a loser. I felt fat. I didn't feel like I wanted to put myself out there and be in front of people. And I hope you haven't experienced that because it's an awful feeling. But if you have experienced it, you also know how it feels, and it sucks. Then I actually found myself in a physically abusive relationship. And during the trauma of that relationship, I lost about 25 pounds, not in a healthy way. I need to preface that. But it was weird because I was kind of happy about it. It was the most weight I'd ever lost. And people were complimenting me about the way I looked. And so for the first time in my life, no one ever commented when I lost 5 pounds. It wasn't noticeable to them. So when I was getting these compliments and I was feeling happy, when I finally got out of that relationship, I made a promise to myself. After everything I'd just been through, I'm going to keep this weight off. I'm going to start taking better care of myself. I'm going to start working out and eating healthy. Can anyone guess what happened? I did not do any of those things. I gained all the weight back. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating healthy. And I decided that all this dieting wasn't working. I needed a different approach. And I can trace my turning point back to seeing Dr. Mark Hyman on, if some of you know who he is, I follow him on Instagram, and he's written several books, but he was on TV I don't remember the show, but he was talking about the quality of nutrient-dense food and lifestyle change. And if I'm being honest, my first reaction was kind of like, yeah, but the hippie stuff is not going to work for me. But I was like, I'm open right now. So I bought his book and I started educating myself on changing a lot of my habits and, following through with some of his recommendations and his recipes. But the biggest difference was just I was trying something I hadn't done before, and I was following through in a way I hadn't done before. So I stuck with the small steps. I lost 5 pounds in the first month, and then another month went by and I lost another 5 pounds, and then another. But the crazy part was it didn't feel hard. It all seemed easy. I wasn't depriving myself. I was eating delicious food, and I love food. And the food tasted good, but magically seemed to make my cravings disappear. And sometimes it was weird because I was eating more calories than I was before, but losing weight. So fast forward, I lost over 35 pounds and kept it off for almost 10 years. I became a health coach. I developed a program called the Take Control of Your Eating, and I helped dozens of clients do the same thing. And then that's where I thought my story ended. Then I got pregnant. I, first of all, was in pretty incredible shape going into pregnancy. I did like a 13-mile Spartan race. If you've heard of those, they're kind of like Tough Mudders if you haven't heard of them. But we flew to Seattle, did one there, and I was, I think, almost 12 weeks pregnant at the time. I was kind of a badass. But throughout pregnancy, I worked out. I ate healthy. I did everything I possibly could to prepare for a healthy birth, a healthy baby. I read all the books. I picked an amazing provider. I got a doula. I met with a pelvic floor PT. My husband even read the books and watched the videos with me. Well, mostly the videos, but he was there. I had this presumption that because I've been in the health and wellness industry for over 14 years, I had all the things to feel, quote unquote, prepared, that I would kind of just bounce back. And then I had the baby, and the universe was like, yeah, you're an idiot for thinking that. Because sleep deprivation is just next level. You'll hear me talk about sleep a lot in this podcast. I can't even describe the hell that sleep deprivation is unless you've personally gone through it. And then I had, breastfeeding problems during a formula shortage. I had severe anxiety and depression that I masked because I never had to deal with it before. I didn't know what was going on. And then the icing on the cake was I somehow suffered a pelvic injury that caused me to be unable to stand for more than a few minutes without intense throbbing pain in my pubic bone. And I had bought the jogging stroller, and so I had these daydreams of going on runs with my baby, and obviously that didn't happen. I couldn't even walk to the kitchen without wincing, so I wasn't doing a lot of moving. So with all this going on, I was the heaviest I'd been in over 10 years. I felt stuck. I felt like shit. I ate like shit. I was tired. I was miserable. I just didn't feel like me. I didn't recognize myself physically or mentally anymore. And I had this intense feeling of guilt because I'm a health coach. How am I letting this happen? I was in this fight or flight survival mode all the time. And I was being so hard on myself because I'm a health coach, but I was also comparing myself to how things used to be. The reason it was so frustrating in part is because I felt often like I was genuinely trying and I was still struggling so much. All of the small things I was doing seemed almost insignificant. I wasn't giving them credit, and it was like I was fighting this uphill battle but still getting defeated. So I constantly felt inadequate, constantly felt incapable. And as an entrepreneur, which some of you might relate to, I've always had this push through and persevere, go, go, go mentality, which can definitely be useful in business situations, feel the fear and do it anyways. But at that time, it was actually slowing me down. It was causing me more stress. The desire to push through the pain, push through and mask things was making me more miserable because I was running on fumes and it was holding me back. What I actually needed was to slow down, to allow my physical being, my mental being to recover and stop pushing myself so damn hard. let go of my unrealistic expectations, and be okay with it taking time. And maybe, just maybe, have some gratitude during the process. But most importantly, hear this, I needed to stop being so hard on myself for all of the things I wasn't doing and give myself some fucking credit for all the things I was doing. Like, oh yeah, I just birthed a human being with my incredible body, and I've kept it alive, but somehow that didn't seem like enough. I also wanted to move my house and move my business and scale my business and get back in shape and be well rested and have a social life. And oh yeah, can I have that all by next week? That'd be great. And let me tell you something, you can have all that, just not all at once. I didn't realize that right away. So this desire to have everything all at once was what was holding me back. Because what I needed to do was focus on the present, determine what's most important right now. It's all important, but what was most important right now, and also give more credit to the smaller steps, because that's what all I could handle anyways. But the pushing was sending me backwards. And even though the small steps didn't propel me the way I wanted, like to have results by next week, it was still forwards instead of backwards. And sometimes that's just the season we're in. And if we stop fighting it, magic happens. Introducing a kid into my life was not the time to speed up. But that didn't mean I couldn't make progress. And so the switch really for me, the turning point was switching my mindset to progress, not perfection. Everything started changing. All of a sudden, when I went to the gym, instead of feeling like crap because all I did was show up and do my PT exercises, I went to the gym and felt incredible for showing up for myself and being around a community of supportive women. You know, when I did 5 minutes of yoga instead of beating myself up because I couldn't find a full hour to go to an in-person class, I thanked myself for taking the time for my body to recover. You know, when I ate a healthy meal instead of having a salad to punish myself for the weight I'd gained, I ate a salad because I wanted to fuel my body and my baby with incredible nutrients, the best nutrients possible. One small step led to another, and when I let go of comparing myself to the old me and simply gave myself permission to be okay with things taking time, and knowing that didn't make me weak. In fact, it gave me the power to be present so that I could actually learn and grow and come back even stronger. Because now I'm doing all this shit while I'm a mom. I have this newfound appreciation for mothers, if you can't tell. And if you're not a mom, I'm sure all of your accomplishments and your success are still incredible. But the small mindset shift of progress, not perfection, made me feel and could make people feel so much more empowered. It also helped me just be happier and enjoy my life, you know, as a business owner, as a parent, while I was on the journey, instead of waiting for the final destination to be happy. And, you know, fast forward to now, I already kind of gave you the spoiler alert, but I'm doing it all. I'm going to yoga, I'm lifting weights, I'm playing football, I'm boxing, I'm losing weight, and I'm finally fitting into pre-baby clothes after 2 years. But I feel strong, both physically and mentally. Business is thriving and running smoother than ever, so it's not a constant stress. The level of appreciation and closeness I have for my husband is better than ever. And my friends. It's going through this process has made me a better friend, a more fun friend. I have that social time with my kid and without my kiddo, but I think the most important thing is that when I am with my kid, I actually have the energy to be present and engaged with him and have the capacity to keep up with that 2-year-old energy. Overall, moral of the story is I'm feeling like a badass more than I have at any other point in my life, but now the accomplishments I make feel 10 times more gratifying because I'm doing it while I'm a mom. And shout out to all the high achieving mamas out there. My friends and clients immediately started noticing a change in me and were coming to me for advice. You know, one friend asked me, what do you do for dinners? I just can't cook every night. I can't seem to find time to eat healthy. Another friend asked me what I did for my workout routine and just said, I don't know if I can carve out enough time to make it to the gym to actually make a difference. I hear this one a lot. I just feel so guilty about taking time for myself. We'll probably talk about that one in a future episode too. But basically, especially moms, every single mom I talked to said that they didn't have enough support around their own health. And that goes for dads too. I've had these conversations with my husband. So that's when I started developing the Empowered Mama program, which built on my previous program, which was the Take Control of Your Eating program, but it included more of the foundational elements of health, like sleep and self-care. And, it didn't have a name at first. It was just kind of something I was doing out of passion and helping friends with. But after talking to so many moms who had kids at 5 and 7, and even a couple with teenagers, and I asked them, when did you feel like you finally got out of survival mode? And their response was, to be honest, I never did. I don't know why, but that just hit me so hard, and I felt like I had to do something. So it's become my passion and my mission to change that. Cue starting this podcast. So whether you're a parent or not, something brought you here. Something that made you want to show up for yourself, and you did. So give yourself some credit for that. Also, you don't have to be a parent to get value from this podcast. One of my longest standing coaching clients is a retired pediatrician. Another client I have is a woman in her 50s with no kids. The common denominator is they both want more out of life and have higher expectations for their health because they know it's the foundation that gives them the strength, the energy, and the power to thrive and succeed in all other areas of their life. So this podcast is a combination of health and nutrition topics that will help take you not just your health, but your success in all other areas of life to the next level. And what I hope you take away from my story is that no matter where you're starting from, no matter if you're starting over, no matter if you're a parent or whatever your obstacles are to overcoming, your health and desires and dreams don't have to be put on hold. You absolutely can achieve them while being a career-driven person, a good friend, an engaged parent, or whatever the heck else you want to achieve in your life. Thank you so much for being here with me on the Holistic High Achiever podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and ready to take on the world one healthy step at a time. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps so much. And if you're anything like me and you probably thought of someone else who would likely resonate with this content, don't forget to share it with them because who can't use a little extra motivation? Until next time, keep embracing your journey and kicking ass.